Hello everyone. I do apologize. This video is a day late. It's a day late. And it may even be even more late, but I think it's only going to be a day late. I was supposed to make the video yesterday. Yesterday was Day of Her Grace. Yesterday was Day of Her Grace, and I didn't make a video for Day of Her Grace because I was so busy with finals. And like I told you, my schooling has to come first, and I've told you before that my videos may be delayed because of my schooling. So I had to work on finals. I had to work all day on finals. So because of that, this video is coming to you a day late. You can celebrate Day of Her Grace today. So you can observe Day of Her Grace today. It's really not a celebration. It really isn't. It's the last day of the Festival of the Mothers, Day of Her Grace. And like many other holidays and traditions across the world, specifically I'm thinking of the Jewish tradition, it's a day of forgiveness. And not necessarily a day of atonement, but a day of forgiveness, and when we're supposed to forgive others and ask for forgiveness from others. So, to start, I just want to ask you a simple question. For what purpose do you think you were put on this earth? For what purpose do you think you were put on this earth? What do you think? Would you care to hazard a guess why you're on this earth? I don't know why I'm on this earth. I don't know. I'm just here. I'm just here, and I don't know why I'm here on this earth. I was just put here. Put here with no introduction. Just came into the world without any explanation, with no sense yet even to comprehend and what's going on around me, and just a baby, just put on this earth as a baby, and not knowing anything, and no adults explaining anything to me. The adults don't know either. Nobody knows. Nobody here on earth knows why they're here on this earth. So why do you think you were put on this earth? In the news, Israel's in the news. The Palestinians are shelling Israel. Even as we speak, they're sending rockets into Israel, bombing. My ex-friend Judy seems to think that the Jewish people need a home. They need a homeland. She's a rabid Zionist. And she thinks that Israel, her belief, it's her deep-seated belief that Israel is the very safest place on earth for any Jew to be. It's safer than America. It's safer than Europe. Safer than Australia or New Zealand or even the East. Safest place for a Jew on earth to be is Israel. That's her belief as a Zionist. And it's a deep-seated belief. Nothing, absolutely nothing is going to root it out unless Israel's completely demolished, completely bombed off the map. Even then, she still thinks it's safer because she's a Zionist. Palestinians are shelling Israel. You don't see any temples or any synagogues being shelled here in the United States. You don't see that. But you do see shelling people's homes, or people right inside their homes, going on in Israel. So tell me if you think that's a safer place to be. And do you even care if it's a safer place for the Jews to be? Well, America could get dragged into a world war. They could. We could. America could get dragged into a world war. All that would have to happen is for Iran to take the side of the Palestinians, start hurling nuclear weapons at Israel. They wouldn't need very advanced rockets. They wouldn't have to send it far. The Palestinians have rockets. Any Iranian can attach a warhead, if they have one, to the end of one of those rockets and send it over to Israel. The Palestinians have rockets. The Iranians certainly have rockets. It's easy to get these rockets. They get them from the United States, believe it or not. That's where they get their rockets from. They get transferred through black market transactions all the way to the Palestinians. So they're shelling Israel right now. Iran could get involved and start hurling nuclear weapons at Israel. Then Israel would respond with nuclear weapons and shell Iran. Then Russia could choose, if they so choose, if Vladimir Putin chooses. He could choose to jump in on the side of the Iranians, start shelling Israel. Then America would take Israel's side, start shelling Russia. Then we'd be in a nuclear war. We'd be in a nuclear war. Boom! In the blink of an eye. Just like that. You wouldn't even know. You wouldn't even know. And it could all be over. Keep your radios and your cell phones on. That's your only hope. Or only hope for a first. People knew, even in the Cold War, that there was no hope for an early warning or an early response. It would just be over in the blink of an eye, and you wouldn't have time to hit the ground. You would just be toppled over and maybe get some broken bones and radiation poisoning. Nothing would save you. Especially if you were outside, nothing would save you. It's getting more dangerous. The world's getting more dangerous place. I'll tell you a story today. Mom, I brought up an important issue to my mom. I told her, you threw something out that I needed, and you threw it out. You shouldn't have thrown it out. She launches into a tirade. She starts yelling at me, and she won't stop yelling because she's embarrassed. Just because she's embarrassed and she's ashamed that she threw something out. She goes on and on and on. You should have told me, and you should have told me beforehand, and on and on. Relentless, cruel, vicious attack. Like, I deserve that just for complaining. Okay, I deserve that. I deserve to be yelled at when she was the one at fault. She was the one at fault, but I pay for the price for it. I take the blame. I have to suffer listening to this shouting and this yelling and this whining and complaining. I have to listen to this. And I have to be shouted at. So I'm the one who takes the punishment always, because she's relentless and she's vicious. On Day of Her Grace, Goddess calls us to forgive people who will never, ever apologize. And she calls us to forgive people who will never be sorry. They'll never be sorry. They will never, ever ask us for forgiveness from us. They'll never ask for forgiveness. You think these people who are guilty will ever admit they're guilty? You think they'll ever come to you asking for forgiveness? No. No, they will never admit that they're guilty. They'll never admit they're wrong. They'll never come asking for your forgiveness. Judy certainly won't. Judy's the proudest person I know, and she is sure to this very day, this very moment, she was totally in the right, and that she was totally justified in anything she did. She is vindicated in her own mind. She thinks she's totally in the right. So, even though she was terrible to me, she was so bad to me, she was mean, she was vicious, she was cruel. Judy was my mom's friend before she was my friend, so my mom attracts these sorts. She attracts the sort of person who's vicious and cruel and mean-spirited, and she likes that. She's attracted to those types. And so, Judy's never going to apologize. She's never going to ask for my forgiveness for the way she treated me, or the way she made me feel, or the way that she treated me, the way she spoke to me. She thinks she's completely in the right, and she's completely vindicated in her own mind. She's never going to apologize. Never. Never. Anything I may have said justified anything she did in her own mind. She'll never apologize, and she'll never ask for forgiveness, ever. Not even on her special day of atonement, she won't ask for forgiveness. Something wrong with this video. Quality isn't so good. I can't control my computer. My hard drive does disk activity, and it makes the video choppy, and it causes interruptions in the middle of my video. I'm sorry. I apologize for that. We should have a better machine. Got to get a better machine that doesn't cause the video to become choppy. Individuals will never apologize. Palestinians will never apologize to Israel for shelling them because they feel they're totally justified. Israel won't feel bad about bombing back because they've been shelled, right? And Iran, if they jump in, they vowed vengeance against Israel for the guy that was assassinated, that they probably assassinated him themselves and then set it up to blame Israel so that they could get even with Israel for this assassination that they set up. And Israel has been known to commit political assassinations in the past. They've done political assassinations. They've had political assassins go out and murder all their enemies. So it's not they made a movie about it. It's not without precedent. So it is possible that it could have been, but it's very easy to make it look like Israel did it without any proof and without any evidence, just because of their past. See how things you do come back to bite you in the butt later on? So, what is the point of all this? Why am I telling you this? And why did I ask you what you think your purpose on earth here is? All of these things, these unpleasant things, these bad things, these things we don't like to have happen, they all proceed from Maleficent Goddess. I know you don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that all of these things proceed from Maleficent Goddess, but they do. They do. Had to be a creator of evil. Had to be an author of evil. And that author of evil was not some angel or some low-level person, okay, that was rebelling against an all-good God. That's not how it happened. So you can take all the blame off of God. It's not how it happened. Because only Goddess, only the divine, only the higher power really has the power to create ideas. We don't have the power to create ideas. No angel in heaven has the power to create ideas. Only the Creator could create ideas. And there's nothing new under the sun. I mean, these ills have been with us since the beginning of time on this earth. Since the beginning of time on this earth, these ills have been with us. And only the Creator. You're taking power away from the Creator when you say that a devil did it, or that Satan did it. You're taking power away from the Creator. Only the Creator has this power. Only the Creator has this power. So by admitting the Creator created evil, you're actually, you may not have an all good Creator anymore, but you actually have a Creator that's a lot more powerful. A lot more powerful. You're giving more power to the Creator, and even praise to the Creator, because they were capable of creating everything, including evil. So it's a much more powerful Creator. So this Maleficent Goddess, how should we approach her? What should be our approach to Maleficent? And why do I call her Maleficent? Maleficent is a word, okay? It's not a name, it's a word. And it means an evil deity. So, because once you know that it means evil deity, that Maleficent means evil deity, there can be no doubt about what Disney's intent was in creating this Maleficent, who's a female. They're basically saying there's a goddess, and they're admitting that this goddess has a dark side and that she's evil. So they've been worshiping Maleficent all along at Disney. And they haven't been worshiping her in ways that they should. There's been reports of child abuse at Disney. Don't know if they're true, but there have been reports of child abuse. And Hannah Montana, you know her. And Britney Spears, you know her. There were people involved with Disney that they reported had been abused. Don't know if it's true, but it's been rumored that they were abused. Billy Ray Cyrus's daughter also. So, yeah. It's a lot of evil that Maleficent has created. What should we think now that we're honoring, not celebrating, but honoring Maleficent Goddess in this year of Maleficent, this Festival of the Mother. This Festival of the Mother, we're honoring Maleficent Mother. What should our approach to her be on Day of Her Grace? Does the author of evil really have any right to demand that we apologize to her when she created all this evil? Well, I would suggest a different approach to Maleficent Mother on this Day of Her Grace. Let's have a different approach to Maleficent Mother on this Day of Her Grace, now that we're actually confronting Maleficent Mother for the first time ever, and learning about Maleficent Mother for the first time ever. Because Maleficent was revealed to me by Goddess herself last fall when I was dying of allergy attacks. Now that we're confronting Maleficent Mother for the first time in this year of Maleficent, I would strongly suggest that you forgive Maleficent Mother. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can go there. You can dare to forgive a goddess. Yes, you can. Yes, you can. You can dare to forgive a goddess. You can dare. It's all perfectly all right for you to forgive your Creator. And in fact, that's what she wants. She wants to be forgiven by her creations. She wants your forgiveness for all that she's done. Let's enumerate some of the things she did, all right? Most obvious thing is that she's a Maleficent Mother, so she created evil in the first place. So at the very beginning of time, when she created the universe, she created evil then. She created the idea of evil. She created the ideas She brought the ideas into being, into manifestation, so that these evils were possible. So she created evil, and she enabled evil to happen at the beginning of time when she created evil. So that's one. Second thing she did was enable us, her children, you and me, to be subject to this evil within the universe. And anything bad could happen to us at any time, and it wouldn't even be our fault. Anything bad could happen, and it wouldn't even be our fault. Okay? You're not to blame necessarily for anything that happens to you. It could be, but not necessarily. So she subjected us to evil and to the possibility of suffering evil. So she subjected us to the threat of evil. That's number two. That's two things she did. Third thing she did, not just the threat of evil, she has subjected us to evils. And this is more of a personal thing because I don't know what evils you've been subjected to. You might not even remember all the evils yourself. You've suffered a lot of evil in your life. And you've suffered evil in past lives and you don't even remember your past lives. And that's another evil she subjected you to, is forgetting your past lives. But you've been subjected to a lot of evils. And they're all personal evils. There was no way of knowing beforehand, or no way of predicting which of those threats would come true. But now that they have come true, now you know that you've been subjected to these evils. So that's the third thing. There's 1, 2, 3. The evil she created, the threat of evil that you lived under, or the possibility of being subjected to evil, and then the evils that you have suffered or will suffer in the future. That's 3. And there's a fourth. It's a fourth thing that she did. And that was, she gave you your mind. She gave you your feelings, your emotions, your thoughts, and your body. And she enabled you not just to suffer the evil, but to suffer the consequences of the evil. The wounds and the marks on your soul that would last forever afterwards. Let's face it, evils that we've suffered never really go away. It's wounds on your soul. And the only way you could ever completely forgive these evils is if you forgot also. She doesn't want us to forget. So these wounds will stay forever. It's wounds on your soul. She made you suffer the aftermath of these evils. She made you suffer mentally, emotionally, physically from these evils that you've been subjected to forever afterwards. So that's 4. So she subjected you to 4 great evils. There were 4 great evils that she committed. And that's massive. That is so massive. That is huge. These evils that she created are just huge. There's no reckoning with any of them. She wants you to forgive her for all of them. Is that even possible? Can you forgive? Can you forgive such massive evils? Worse than anything anyone's ever done to you before in your entire life. It is everything people have done to you in your entire life, and everything they will do, and everything they could do. It's all of it. You have to forgive her for that. And she wants your forgiveness. She wants your forgiveness. And in return, she will forgive you for things that you've done in your life. But that's the smaller part. She really needs more forgiveness than you do. So she really wants you to forgive her and ask for forgiveness in return. But if you don't ask for forgiveness in return, she can forgive you for that. She can excuse you for that. Because I can understand if you didn't want to ask for forgiveness from her after all she's done. She's committed the greater crime against you. And if you do ask for her forgiveness, and also extend forgiveness to her, but especially if you extend forgiveness to her, that's the most important thing. Is that some of these ills may go away. We may start to reverse the process of people angry, shouting, mad, cruel, vicious, bombing each other, starting wars. And the Biden administration isn't totally innocent because Biden launched vitriolic personal attacks on Putin in a public place. Whether they were true or not, he started up the Cold War again. It's back. Cold War is back, and Putin is promising he will update all of his nukes by the end of the year, or at least 88% of them by the end of the year. Probably all of them. And so now we have to live under the shadow of nuclear war because of Biden. Biden needs your forgiveness. Oh yeah, he needs lots of forgiveness. He's been rounding up his political enemies and putting them in prison. Check out the links in the description. It's a very informative video by Tucker Carlson telling about how Biden has been rounding up his political enemies using the FBI to grab all of the electronics and arrest all of his political enemies. Spying, ruining people's reputations, ruining their lives. Biden needs a lot of forgiveness. And the things he's done for his son Hunter, he needs forgiveness for that too. He needs a lot of forgiveness. A lot. And Hunter needs forgiveness too. They both need a lot of forgiveness. That doesn't mean the goddess will let them off the hook. Just means that they need to be forgiven. And they're never going to ask for forgiveness. Never. They'll never come to you. They'll never ask for forgiveness. But Maleficent Mother, this day of her grace, is coming to you asking for your forgiveness. And don't forget, the goddess also has a light side. She also has a light side, and she also has a good side that's pure love, pure goodness. And that side wants to forgive you also for all the things you've done. She wants to forgive you, and she wants to draw you up into the light, and she wants you to forgive. And she especially wants your forgiveness because the light side of Goddess does feel responsible for Maleficent Mother and for her existence. She does feel partially responsible because it's a part of her. So, good Goddess, her heart aches for you. Maleficent Mother wants badly to be forgiven. She doesn't know how to ask. She doesn't know how to ask. It's not because she doesn't feel guilty like these hard-hearted people. She just doesn't know how to ask. And she knows she's guilty. She's very wise. So I'm asking you, this day of her grace, not necessarily to ask forgiveness for everyone else or just to forgive mortals. I'm asking you this day of her grace to forgive Maleficent Mother. And if you can do that, if you can forgive Maleficent Mother, you can come to terms with your Creator, then everything else falls into place, right? Everything else becomes so much easier. That's it. Take care, everyone. I suggest you start your preps again if you haven't already, because we could be headed toward a nuclear war right now, even as we speak. So like I said at the beginning of my video, what purpose do you think you were put on this earth for? Well, your days may be short. You may have to decide right away, because your days are not, your days might be numbered. Your days are numbered, but your death could come sooner than you're expecting. Prepare now. Prepare now and forgive Maleficent Mother now. She needs our forgiveness. And you might possibly turn back disaster. And I'll see you next time.